Mac Justice of Mac Justice Entertainment coming to you live from the International Institute with Soulful Saturday Segway. This week we'll be featuring Marty Montgomery in episode 3 of our Soulful Saturday Segway, and we look forward to him performing December 21st at Level 7 on West 7 Mile Road in Detroit. All right, so Marty, I want to welcome you to our Soulful Saturday Segway and thank you for coming out today to talk with us and tell us a little bit about your music history, about your past. I mean, you had an exciting past, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and I appreciate the fact that you bring all those old has-beens back to life. It started off for me, I was born in Detroit. I was born on Grand Boulevard and 14th at the old Providence Hospital, which they tore down, and now it's the Coleman Young Apartments.
Yes, sir.
So that's where it started out at.
Few blocks from Old Town.
Yeah, right. Matter of fact, right down the street from me.
Yes, sir.
And my father, he played saxophone. He played with Horace Silver for a brief period, and then he ended up having a medical problem, so he had to give up playing.
Tell us one of the songs of Horace Silver. Do you remember?
Well, the biggest song, but my father wasn't on it. But one of Horace Silver's biggest songs was "Song for My Father."
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people probably familiar with that. And so after I started out originally as a drummer.
Really?
Yeah. So it was really hilarious. I would beat on the possum pants around the house and beating on my mother's hat boxes and all that kind of stuff. So I learned this song by a jazz pianist named Bud Powell, and the drummer on the album was Max Roach, and I nailed the solo down on the possum pants and stuff. So my mother and father, they said, well, boy, I think we need to get this boy a set of drums or something. It seemed like he's going to do something with this music thing. So back during that time, they had a catalog called Ardens.
Called what?
Ardens. Not Ardens, Ardens. And so they ordered this drum set out the thing, and it came in all these boxes and stuff. So I'm banging my head off and everything, and driving my neighbors. I know I was driving them crazy. So what I did was I learned the drum solo to Cold Sweat by James Brown.
Right.
So boy, I was like, oh man, I got this. So it was a contest at WCHB Talent Show, which was at the Fox Theater. This was like in 1967. I was 12 years old. And I sent in a form and stuff, and so I got called for the talent show. So I went to the Fox and did this drum solo and stuff. And so it was cool, but I didn't really win anything like that. It was a talent show.
Okay. So
after that, my father, he would take me around with the drums and everything. Just had to play for different events and stuff. I put a group together, which was a trio. It was myself, a guy by the name of Theodis Collins and John Sattler. Both of these guys passed on. And we got our first big gig, Christmas party, at Scott Paper Company.
where was that located?
That was located on Jefferson.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I think it's now like the Detroit Sewage Company or something like that. But they moved out.
Okay.
Peerless Cement and stuff like that. But that was a big deal. So, go back. I wanted to start out playing saxophone, but I was too short to reach the bottom register of the saxophone. My father played tenor, and I wanted to play tenor.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up just playing the drums and stuff. But after I heard Billy Cobham and people like that, I said, hey, I got to quit playing. I can't play the drums no more. Go back to the sax. So I ended up started playing the alto sax because it was smaller and things like that. And what happened? I got an offer to play with these older guys. I always played with older guys because I was basically a jazz head.
Yes, sir.
I love to play jazz and stuff. And I got a job with some guys. They had a quintet called an Isle Quintet.
Called the what?
The Nile Quintet.
Nile. Okay.
Yeah, and what it was, I was basically like a novelty act. I learned to play a song on the alto sax, "Listen Here" by Eddie Harris.
Okay.
And so that was a big song, and I nailed it. So they said, well, we need to take you with us sometime and do gigs with us. I played the one song, "Listen Here," and they got a big bang out of it because it was coming out of a 12-year-old kid.
Right.
And so I ended up, they ended up getting gigs, opening up for Muhammad Ali. And what he was doing at that time, that was like 68, 69, he was speaking at different bazaars and festivals and different things like that. So I did a couple gigs like that.
Now, was that during his ban from boxing?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was during that time.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was a big thrill for me. But I kept all these. I grew up listening to jazz and stuff. But you really at that time come to find out all the people that I idolized that they were jazz musicians, but they were playing on R&B cuts,
So name some of the
soul
people.
cuts and stuff like that. All right, well, one guy, matter of fact, he was a funk brother. Was Yule Jones, and he was a good friend of my family, my
Okay.
parents and stuff. And he used to come by the house all the time and stuff, and it was really really wild because these guys were walking around all the time. Larry Vida, he was original funk brother. This is before they got the regular guys there. He started out with Motown back in the 60s, 59. Larry Vida. Yule Jones, he came like about 63. So all these guys, they were playing jazz at night in different clubs and stuff like this. But they were going into Motown and they were playing like these R&B cuts, and what they used to do was hilarious.
Because back then the R&B paid.
Yeah, the R&B paid, and that's how you made your money.
Well, let me ask you a question. You moved from the drums to the saxophone. Was your dad your only primary teacher, or were you just a natural?
Oh, no, it wasn't natural. My dad, he really didn't teach me, he told me some things, but he didn't want to teach me because he didn't want me to be lazy. He wanted me to get it on my own. But he gave me pointers on different things.
Okay.
And then, after his illness and stuff, the doctor told me, said, no more playing for you, Mr. Montgomery,
Okay.
The thing with that, I switched to the saxophone because, like I said, I didn't want to play drums no more at all. And then on top of that, I ended up making my money. I started making money playing the sax. I was playing like with a bunch of different little bands and stuff around. At that time, I started out with a group called the Mystics.
Okay.
And Channel Doors, these are different names and stuff. And back during that time, a lot of the singing groups that were around, like in the Detroit area and stuff, they would go hire these bands to play cabarets and sock hops and different things like that. And I was like, man, I said, the jazz is cool, but you can make all your money in R&B and soul. That's the people that's buying the records. And during that time, you would pass by the record shops and you hear all the records over the PAs and stuff. Detroit, it was a good thing, when Motown was here. Then on top of that, everybody had money. Everybody was working. The factories were booming.
During the heyday of the
Yeah,
place.
the heyday, all of that stuff. And so...
Now, let's go back a little bit into like your early childhood. 'Cause you started playing at what age, kind of professionally?
Oh, professionally? Professionally, I say 12 years old. That's
12 years old.
That's when I started making money.
That's pretty early.
You know,
What was your first big gig?
Well, my first big gig was when I was telling you about. I had my own group. We played the Scott Paper Christmas party.
Now, did you play for like your high school band or anything? Like
Yes,
that?
I did. I played in the Southwestern Marching Band, Concert Band. We had a fantastic teacher, Dr. Lemuel Dokes. He was great. He was like a second father to all the kids in the band. This guy, he took us all under his wing, and he made sure that we ended up becoming real responsible young men.
Now, you mentioned where you were playing the drums. very early. When did you start playing the saxophone?
Let's see. I picked the saxophone up during the same time that I was playing drums. I ended up playing alto because it was smaller.
Okay.
But I didn't like the alto because it was just too easy for me to play. You know,
Okay.
I wanted to play the tenor. So as I grew up and got bigger, then I started playing tenor. And then I started playing them all. You know, soprano, tenor.
So for some of our audience that don't know the difference between the tenor and the alto, give us some insight on it, because you said one was bigger than the other.
Okay, all right. All right, you got the baritone sax. It's like this, huge like this, which is considered a bass tone sax. Then you got the tenor sax, about like this, and then the alto is about like this. I wish I had it here to show them to you. And then I played the soprano,
Okay.
which is straight, like what Kenny G played. A
Right.
lot of people know about
More
Kenny
like
G.
a clarinet.
Yeah, but what happened was, when I started playing soprano, Kenny G wasn't even thought of during that time. I picked up the soprano after listening to Coltrane do My Favorite Things. As a matter of fact, I played My Favorite Things for a school concert at Southwestern, and it was a big deal. It was a piano player there was a substitute teacher. His name was Charles Hill.
Okay.
And he's one of these cool guys, you know, of course. Yeah, man, you know, he say, you know, I guess he played around Detroit and stuff during that time. Yeah, man, you sound good on that soprano. I did that. He said, you know how to play My Favorite Things by Coltrane? I was like, yeah. I said, I might not be able to play it exactly like Coltrane, but I try to come close.
Yes, sir.
And this is coming out of like, you know, kid. And so we played a couple times, and he's like, man, this is gonna be great. I want that on the Christmas show. And that was one of my favorite songs, you know.
Okay.
And then I look up and it's funny. All of a sudden after that, about 6, 7 years later, you know, we see Kenny G playing the soprano, all those guys and everything.
Now, we had the pleasure of having you play at Level 7 on West 7 Mile, December 21st. Will we see some of those different types of saxophone?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll bring the soprano and I bring the tenor, and then I'll be having a few other things too. As a matter of fact, I played the soprano sax on Marvin Gaye's Trouble Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I got what happened. Maurice King. Maurice King was at Motown. He was one of the first guys at Motown. That during the time that I was talking about, like Larry Beater, people like that, the early guys. He was out as the musical director at that time for Gladys Knight and the Pips, and he was doing. Boy, I'm trying to think of the singing group. You know, old age senior moments.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm starting to have it myself.
I think he was doing the Spinners at that time too.
Yes, sir.
Well, see, a lot of times, like I said, I grew up around the older cats, and a lot of times they didn't want to go on the road and they didn't want to do certain things because they were regular session men here in Detroit. So they were doing a lot of sessions and stuff, and they had already been on the road, you know, like in the 50s and 60s. You know, they played for different people, like Dinah Washington, people like that. So he heard me play. He used to stop by the house to see my father occasionally every now and then. So, you know, he heard me on the soprano. So he said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to send you out to do this thing with Marvin. I'm like, what? You know, I'm saying to myself, you know, because I'm still in school.
Right.
And, you know, luckily
How old were you then?
I was 17 at the time.
Okay.
And it's 1972. And so I would go out like, you know, in the summer and stuff like that, you know, make sure I'm back in school. But the cats, they didn't want to go on the road and do stuff like that too much no more. So they was passing it on to us younger cats. See, back in those days, when the older guys had jam sessions were like from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. Or if you was older, which at my time, you know, you could get in the clubs when you was 18. The jam session was 2 to 5 in the morning, or 2 to 5 in the afternoon.
Okay.
It didn't interfere with your gigs at all. And then you had masters. These cats were like masters. Like you know, you would see like people like Marcus Belgraves, Lyman Woodard, Joe Burton, all the Funk Brothers, different people like that. Oh boy, Beans Bowls,
Yeah,
people
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
People, and they would show us stuff. They would show us stuff, and tell you, like, this is what you need to practice on. This is what you need to do like this. It wasn't like, and they had fun. That's why I was saying, like, about the Motown tunes. The Motown tunes used to have a lot of jazz flavors and different songs, like some of the Supremes and stuff. Like, I say Mary Will's tune, My Guy.
Yeah.
It started out with a tune from Canadian Sunset.
Okay.
So a lot of these guys, they would play like jazz tunes and they would incorporate them into those Motown songs and
Right.
made masterpieces.
Right.
Great arrangers, Paul Reiser, people like that,
Now, speaking of masterpieces, what we failed to talk about a little bit is one of the most, I won't say the most, but one thing that I'm familiar about you from is playing with Wild Cherry.
Play the funky music, white boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a real good one. I played with Wild Cherry. My friend of mine, good friend of mine, as a matter of fact, you had a chance to see him in Purple Rain. His name was Billy Sparks.
Ah.
Billy Sparks was responsible for that whole situation. Billy called me up and he said, "Man," he said, I got the perfect gig for you." And so I was like, "Oh, okay," And so I ended up I auditioned for Wild Cherry and got the gig, and the rest was history. Went on tour. As a matter of fact, our first tour was 74 days, all one-nighters,
Wow.
all fly gigs. This is how big, it blew up and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we went on and the group won American Music Award. Was up for the Grammy, but we lost out to You'll Never Find,
Yeah.
Lou Rawls.
Lou Rawls, yeah.
Yeah. But we went to the Grammys and oh man,
That had to be an awesome experience.
I had a chance to meet everybody that was in my dreams. Because when I was a kid, I was the only kid, so I had dreams when I was a kid. I used to always sit up and look at the sky and say, "Boy, one day, I would like to meet all these certain people." And during that time that I played with Cherry, it was a whole different level compared to some of the gigs I was doing. I had a chance to meet all the stars.
Now, you played with Marvin. You played with Wild Cherry. Name some of the other, because I'm a prolific songwriter, too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's my thing. I always like to get into arrangements. Like say for instance, like I hear a tune like, I'm just using this as an example, like My Girl or something like that, and I might hear arrangement the way I hear it on top, and I try to incorporate that in the song. I'll play it the way it's supposed to be the first time, and I'll play it back and say, "Well, this is the way I heard it in my mind."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's that creative imagination that you develop from sitting with yourself, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spending
yeah.
good time with yourself.
Yeah, but
a lot of people don't take advantage of that.
Right, I write quite a few tunes. Matter of fact, on the show, I will be playing a lot of my songs along with cover songs.
We greatly appreciate original music on our shows
Yeah.
because we like to expose our audience to new music and original music and just creativity. As we talked about earlier, Detroit has been one of the meccas of music and entertainment, and what our goal is, and I'm glad you're joining to be a part of it, is to bring that, revise that and bring it back. Revive that completely and bring it back. Both some of the artists from the past who can give some of the history, lessons, and understanding to some of these young artists. And some of these young artists, starting in January or February, we'll start interviewing some of the up-and-coming artists who have that soul feeling behind their music as well. So like last week we talked to Ralph Armstrong, who's teaching at Cass Technical High School. And when you mentioned your teacher, I'm thinking, hey, we need these artists to teach our young people. Another saxophone player I like to mention is Mecca Lathan.
Oh yeah.
Mecca actually was my daughter's teacher. She was teaching my daughter piano, And so Mecca and her daughter are contributing heavily to the music scene. Isis DeMille, I want to give her a shout out. Isis DeMille, Ralph Armstrong, one of our future broadcast, Dwayne Parham. And also we had, a couple of weeks ago, we had Jerome Clark, the guitarist.
Right.
Have you played with any of those guys?
Jerome, we played a couple times. Basically, I think it was like some jam session. Matter of fact, Jerome plays at a church that I used to play at for a while over at Plymouth.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Reverend Hood. Matter of fact, Reverend Hood, quiet as kept, was he was in a group when he was coming up. He played trombone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to remember it. I think the group was called the Seven Sounds.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a good trombone player.
That's why he gave so much during the pandemic, as Jerome said. He gave so much to artists, especially artists who played in his membership, and he kept them working during the pandemic.
And the good part about it is that he always makes sure that he acknowledged all the musicians in Detroit.
That's beautiful.
He used to throw the jazz series and different things like that. And because he was a player himself. And it's funny, a gentleman that's on your staff was a bass player in one of my groups.
Is that right? What group was that?
Well, he was from a group called the Axe Band.
The Axe Band. That's right.
Yeah, I know he gonna probably slap me, but he, him and his brother, Aaron. Matter of fact, I remember his father. They used to always bring him and drop him off sometime at our rehearsal building and stuff. But they were on some of the recordings that I did. I had cut some tunes. Martini, Alcafunk, Paul Matty, Running Away.
That's a conversation right there.
Yeah, that Running Away is a conversation.
Before we get into that conversation.
Let me tell you, I'm going to be writing a book because my mother been killing me. She passed on, but she always said, you need to write a book, But I always have been so busy, boy, trying to keep, because I playing music full time, you got to make sure you stay on it all the time because it comes and goes. It's a roller coaster ride, basically. So you have to stay on top. But what was that you had to say?
I was going to acknowledge my videographer, Mr. Anthony Walker, and tell you how I met him. I was being transported by Mr. Walker, and he was playing some music, and I got to making noise. I won't call it singing. I got to making noise, and he said, "Young fella, what you know about this music?" And I gave him some of my history. I used to manage Masonic Temple, and he played something, and he mentioned a particular artist, and I said, "The Axe Band." And he said, "What you know about the Axe Band?" I told him they used to back Sherelle, right? And he said, and he told me he was the bass player. And I'm trying to get him up here for an interview. So at some point, Mr. Anthony Walker, and I'm going to acknowledge him, of Walker Vision, who does excellent work. If you've seen episode 1, episode 2, and you'll soon see this one, episode 3, he does most of the editing and most of the shooting for those episodes. And he is a prolific bass player because he picked up my son's old bass in my basement one evening and thumped it for a little while for us. And I really appreciate him.
He's a bad man. Him and his brother, it was funny. I said, I got to have these brothers, boy. And they were young and fresh.
Out of Northwestern High School.
Out of Northwestern High School. And also they put out a record on another young lady that was involved in the same circle that I was in was Diane Mathis.
So now that you mentioned Diane Mathis,
Yeah,
I got to ask her, beautiful voice, wonderful woman. Actually an excellent, prolific playwright as well. We plan to do some work together in the near future. Now that you've mentioned Diane Mathis, and it's a myth because I wasn't there. There's a myth that I've heard, and I'm not going to expound too far on it. You mentioned the song "Running Away," and it relates to that song.
Yeah, that will be mentioned in the book because, but only thing I can say is I really can't say anything about it, but it was some business affairs that wasn't correct about that song, and but it, you know, you get a chance to read about it in the book.
Yeah. I understand there's maybe some legal matters and some copyright matters that we can't go too far in it.
And
but
then
if
some people that survive, that's still, you know, they're still living things. You know?
and we want to respect them. So if people don't know that song was performed and by Frankie Beverly and Mays, God rest his soul as well. I won't make that noise and insult my audience about the song, but that tempo, I love that song. I love that song. So yeah. And you know, it's a well-known fact. Just speaking on other artists, recently I met a gentleman who stated that he wrote a song that was done by One Way and their lead artist and Cutie Pie. It's a well-known fact and myth that many Detroit artists didn't get the credit for the songs that they created, especially when they were young, because they were anxious to get it out there. I myself experienced that with a play and with a poem, so I understand. And I understand respecting those that you respect and those who are still alive in the industry, because I haven't put out my story about those things as well. We're going to take a break. Let me take a break. No, thank you. I want to take a couple of moments to give homage to our sponsors. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Dante Williams of Cuts Lounge for sponsoring Soulful Saturday Segway, and also our rehearsals for our theater programs that will be coming up soon. Also want to give a shout out to Stephanie Wright and Women of a Circle for giving us love and prayers and including us in some of the community events to give back to the community. And last but not least, to Miss Shavi M. Langston, the pretty perfume pusher, who gives our guests a gift each time they do our show of layering bundles of colognes and perfumes. You have to check it out. Check out the pretty perfume pusher, and she's sure to make you somebody's snack tonight. All right, back to you, Marty. Tell us a little bit about some things that you have coming up. You have any events coming up besides our December 21st at Level 7?
Okay, yes I do, but it's out of town, as a matter of fact. I've been, since 2009, I've been doing the Junior Walker tribute act with drummer Ronnie Nelson.
Okay.
And his girl, the ladies. And we've been working overseas in different places like that, and all over, Japan, all over Europe. But this coming week, we'll be playing in Baltimore and Washington, D.C.
That's where our sponsor is from, the Pretty Perfume Pusher.
Oh, is that
yeah,
right?
That's right. That's
Wow.
right. She's out in Baltimore right now.
Yeah.
She's originally from Detroit, like yourself, like us. She lives in Baltimore right now. So where will you be playing at in Baltimore?
Okay, I'm not for sure. I think they probably be doing the Lincoln Theater.
Okay.
Usually that's what we play when we're there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So go out and check out the Junior Walker
all-star band.
All-star band.
Yeah, and then it's, I guess they got about four or five more acts on this. So usually a big show, and we do it every year. Matter of fact, the last time we played it, but this was, I say about 6 years ago, we did that last year with Dennis Edwards. He was on the show.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, so.
Now, let me ask you this question, because we talked about a couple of artists that you've played with. Do you have, and venues that you've played at, do you have anyone on your wish list still to this day?
Okay, as far as a venue to play?
A venue and or artist?
Oh boy, well, as far as the venues, I played all the venues that I wanted to play, plus more than enough,
Yes,
really.
sir.
But the artist that I really wanted to play with, but he passed on, was Art Blakey of the Jazz Messengers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his. And but as far as venues, I played them all. As a matter of fact, one of the venues that I played it when I was with the Dramatics. I always wanted to play it because it was just so much history and stuff, was the Apollo Theater.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Now, but some of the biggest festivals I played was like 88,000 people. And that was like with Wild Cherry.
Did you play at Montreux?
Montreux, I did the Montreux. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm glad you told me that because senior moments.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I did that with Damon from the Temptations.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we did that. Matter of fact, you can see the video on YouTube. Played the Montreux Jazz Fest. The Temptations. Damon Harris. He passed on.
Okay. Now, do you have a YouTube channel?
No, I don't.
How can people see some of your work on social media?
I have Facebook, Marty Montgomery on Facebook.
Marty Montgomery.
Right.
Now, can people also book you?
Oh yeah, yeah. They could book me. I'll give you the phone number: 313-575-6434.
Say it one more time for them.
313-575-6434.
And that's personal.
Yep.
They can contact you directly.
I asked them
And
before,
see,
like, hello. you
That's
know.
right. That's one of the things that's missing nowadays in the arts. You know, you used to be able to contact somebody and just get them directly and get a decision right off. But there's so many different layers. Some of those layers we can't speak about, right? That stop and block you from making your money on your own.
Right.
So I want to thank you, Marty, for coming out. Before we end the show, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out? Name some of those people that you played with that are still with us or gone that you'd like to give a shout out to.
All right, I wrote all their names down. You know, this is this basically was some of the people that was from my neighborhood that was really big and a lot of people didn't know it. But I like to give thanks though to the gentleman that recorded my last CD that I came out with called Fine in Time. You can get that on Amazon. Want to give thanks to Carl Robinson. Carl Robinson is a guitar player on it, and he mixed it and everything. And he was out with a bunch of big stars like the Fantastic Four and the Four Tops.
Okay.
Dramatics, different people like that. And also, I call this guy the Muhammad Ali of keyboards, Charles Green.
All right. All right.
Yeah, he played on my CD. And the late Reed Anderson, he was responsible to put up the money for us to record my CD. I'd like to give a shout out to, she passed on. She was from my old neighborhood, Belita Woods, from Parliament Funkadelic. And Vicky Winans, she stayed down the street from me.
Okay.
On Beatrice.
Okay.
Of course, the late great Maurice King,
Yes,
that
sir.
I mentioned earlier,
Yes, sir.
about the Motown. Larry Washington. Larry Washington, he grew up, we went to school together, he grew up around the corner from me, and he was in the Tina Turner movie.
Yes, sir.
He was the drummer in the movie. The White Adams, horn director, he's from my old neighborhood with Stevie Wonder. Matter of fact, he was just here a couple of days ago. And let me see what else. Oh yeah, and of course I'd like to give a shout out to all my buddies, the Soul Messengers. And they were one of the house bands at the 20 Grand back in the day. And they played all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the Axe Band.
Right.
I'd like to give a shout out to them and tell them thanks too. And if I missed it, I'm sorry. I can't remember everything.
Blame it on the
put it in
mind,
the
not the
book,
heart, right?
Yeah.
Blame it on the mind. All right, thank you, Marty. And we look forward to you performing December 21st at Level 7 on West 7 Mile. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite. Please come out and support Detroit artists, Detroit music, and Detroit legends. This is Mac Justice of Mac Justice Entertainment.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Please, whatever you do, support a lot of this good, great, upcoming talent that we have out of Detroit. We still have a bunch of great bands here. We have, but they don't have no place to play. So it's good that you got a place like that that's happening to bring out a lot of this hidden talent. It's not like we don't have like 80 or 90 clubs no more. Like back in the day, used to be clubs in every neighborhood.
See, one of our goals, and I'm just going to share this and hopefully speak it into fruition, because I'm a strong believer in the power of words and the power of the Creator who creates all things. One of our goals is to have a place that has its own parking, that has its own rights to have whoever perform that's a good artist with no stipulations, no guidelines, no hang-ups, no interference, that doesn't cost $80 to park it.
Right.
So we want to bring entertainment back to the same neighborhoods that you mentioned that entertainment came from. Old Northwestern, Old Cooley, Old Southwestern, Old Persian, Old Cass Tech. We want to bring music to the venues where people live so they don't have to travel far. They feel safe and comfortable and at home. So I'm going to close out with that. This is Mac Justice of Mac Justice Entertainment. Soulful Saturday Segway. Out. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh me, oh my, I get me a crispy cut, women be polite. Give me a quality cut for the grown man price. Take a seat in this chair and I'ma get up looking nice. Call and make an appointment, walk in, get it right. Or you can book your cutting time from the booking website. After I hustle, make my money through the night. In the morning, bi-weekly, I had to get my cut tight. Then we sit and conversate about the changes that we gon' make. Speaking on the topics that only lead us to motivate. We get involved, break barriers in the wall. Be coming together for the betterment of us all. Get the classy cup up in the classy spot. Come check out this masterpiece on the side of the shop. Touch lines in the community for 3 years strong. So when you come and get a fade, make yourself a new home. Not a shop for the fellas, they just get faded too. Got boosters for little ballers, getting haircuts too. So come on and come on, book your appointment and call. Them the cuts that get styled, that make you feel at home for real. Cuts Lounge, 19655 Grand River, Detroit, Michigan. And don't forget to check out the website, cutslounge.us.
Cuts Lounge, give me swag.